Okay, so this is the main screen that you'll come to when you guys start a new deal. And I just want to point out a couple of things here. This is our customer service help desk number and their email. It's 24/7. So if you guys have any questions ever, they're really good about reaching back out to you. There's some common questions here, some video trainings here, and this is where you would go to start a new deal. And then is there any state in particular that you guys have problems with?
South Carolina has become an issue with some of the taxes.
Okay. Yeah, property taxes. Okay. I'll run through a New York one real fast. That's the one I'd already had set up. But you'll click on your state and then you'll hit your dealership will be here. And ours is actually located for the training partition in Florida. So you'll see Florida down the road, but that's where that'll come from. And this is where we had talked about being integrated with your DMS. So you guys have Automate, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So when you would enter your deal number, you would click here and click load deal. This is where it would bring all the information over for you. But I'm not integrated with a DMS. So we'll just have to do it manually real quick. And then you select your purchase type, cash, finance, or lease. We'll do a finance deal so you guys can see where the lien perfection comes in. And then plate transfer. This doesn't actually transfer the plate over for you. You still have to do that on the back side, but it just asks. So you can either do a full deal or just a fee calculation. So we'll go ahead and run a full deal for you so you can see it. And you're able to go back in as long as you're under the same deal number as many times as you need to without being charged duplicate. So our fees are $34.99 for the taxes and then $55.99 for the paperwork. So it's a $90.98 per deal charge. We'll click full deal, and this will tell you any of the notices that you need to worry about right off the bat. And so I had done this one before, so we'll just go ahead and hit load deal. So anything in red, once this pops up, is going to be required to be filled out. So it went ahead and had my name, super young, date of birth, driver's license, and I live in New York. And then next. The VIN number. So again, anything in red has to be filled out. And this is where if you're integrated with the DMS, it pulls all this over for you. So if you do a used vehicle, you need to know what previous title state it came from. And then you're also able to do private or commercial as well. So it just fills all this out for you. And as much information as is entered here will show up on the paperwork on the back end. So for trade-ins, you're able to do up to 4 trades here without having to call us. We kind of joke and say we hope you never have to have 4 vehicles traded in, but we can go up to 8 if that is something that you guys need to do. Any questions so far?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. The purchase information, so the price, if the dealership is shipping the vehicle, again, anything in red has to be filled out. And this is like a calculator. So if it doesn't have anything in it, it'll give you an error message. So if there's not a trade-in allowance or a dealer rebate, just hit 0. I do want to focus on this NAT processing fee right here. This is the $90.98 that we talked about, per transaction. So some dealerships that we work with like to upcharge that. So they charge it back to their customer, and then our monthly subscription is $90. So they upcharge it a little bit to help cover the subscription cost as well. So it's a flat rate. If you wanted it to be $150 or whatever you guys choose to do, it'll show up on the paperwork on the back end as well. And you are able to set this at a flat rate so that if, F&I is working on it or whoever else is in it, that this cannot be changed. Any questions on that before I move forward?
Nope, we're good. Thank you.
Okay. This is the lien holder. So this is where your lien perfection will come in. We've got Bank of America, just wherever they're at. Again, just as much information as you put here will come on the back side. Registration county, insurance. So you can select a DMV. You can select a DMV and it'll send it to the closest DMV where the customer lives. Or you can do a private tag agency. And these have fees associated with them, but they can usually turn around your paperwork in 2 to 3 business days if that was something that you wanted to use.
So you can choose if you want to send it to DMV or to a private tag agency that'll get a quicker turnaround.
Correct.
2 business days versus 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah.
That fee in parentheses.
Now, where would we get that information? It pulls it up.
Yep.
The one that's in parentheses.
So the parentheses is how much that private tag agency charges. And it'll give you the mailing address on one of the forms that prints off at the end. Or you can do the private or the DMV location. And this is the one closest to where the customer lives.
Some of them don't take mail.
Some of the
I'm sorry, what was that?
DMVs do not take mail,
like where?
like when you mail out. Like different states are
And
different.
if there's an associated fee, it'll always be in parentheses.
Yes. Sorry to kind of jump in, you guys. So yes, for our private tag agencies, they will always tell you what the fee is ahead of time. Sometimes we have a couple different options in that state. And, of course, all of them are going to turn over those deals a little bit faster than the DMV. The reason why there's usually a fee is, or I think there's always a fee, it's just they're a lot more personal with their approach for you guys. And they're a lot more incentivized to get those deals done, which is why they do turn the deals over usually in about 2 to 3 business days compared to the DMV, where it can take, a couple weeks sometimes. And I'm sure, we wish we could make the DMV faster, but it's not quite there yet. But I am curious how this compares to what you guys are currently doing at the moment.
Who are we doing?
How does this compare to
Like-
IGS?
Well, we send everything to them and then they deal with the private agents and mail
Okay.
out to the DMV. So that takes longer.
Yeah.
Waiting for different states for the, emissions or bin inspections, that takes longer for the different
Yeah.
states. But we do exactly what you do. We charge the customer for what the fees are. So now we're going to have to pay additional. How's that going to calculate? So we could charge the customer for the agents.
Yeah, so we'll show you, and that's if you guys decide to use it. You don't have to use a PTA.
Mhm.
A lot of my dealers have started switching over just to get that the timeline that's a little bit, quicker.
That's-
But if you guys, you have a customer where
everything's on time, you don't feel rushed, and he's okay with getting it in the normal timeline, then of course you can still always use that DMV. But otherwise, we'll actually show you on the next page where that agency fee is actually added up
Okay.
with all of the titling and reg fees.
Okay.
And I think Crystal had mentioned it, but we have a guarantee on our fees as well. So, you know, if for some reason we tell you to collect the wrong amount, we'll actually honor that and we'll reimburse you instead of making you go to the customer or even eating that cost at your dealership.
Okay.
So,
And then
Crystal.
is your
Oh, sorry.
system- I'm sorry. I just
No,
have-
no worries.
Like I know some of the DMVs in certain states or counties, they will not accept mail work. Is your system, will they know that to give you that option? Or not?
Yeah,
And
so
probably
I
that-
think you're talking more specific about South Carolina, right? How they make you send it to the PO box instead of to their direct location.
just any of the states, because I know some of them are different where they won't accept like some states the customer can meet the paperwork
Mhm.
at the DMVs.
Okay. So yeah, the state or our software is going to know the difference between that.
Okay.
So it will let you know, like, hey, if they need to go in and take care of paperwork, it lets you know they have to go in. Any sort of special requirements for the deal are going to be notated. That way, you know ahead of time, and then you know before you, let the customer leave.
Okay.
And then we also go as far as notating when you actually need a wet signature versus when you can use like a DocuSign or a Route 1 on paperwork.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. So, are there any additional questions before we kind of get to that fee page and, jump a little bit further for you?
I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. Crystal, if you'll take back
Okay.
over and show us what
Thank you.
happens next.
Perfect. So you hit calculate fees. So anytime there's blue, that's when you'll be charged. So this is a transaction fee for $34.99. And then when the paperwork comes up, I'll show you the other spot where it'll charge then for the total of the $90.98. Yeah. So here is where that agency fee for that private tag agency shows up. And then that NAP processing fee. So that was just the flat rate that I had set for the 150, and your dealership can charge, whatever you guys decide on that. And then if there's reciprocity tax for you guys, like I said, the training partition is out of Florida. So that's why it shows up that there's reciprocity tax for Florida.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, like in this state, I know they have to do the property tax, and like I said, anything that has the VIN inspections, it'll tell you that for each state.
Yes.
Do you all see, like the company we have now, they will take care of that, the property tax and stuff? Is that something y'all do, or the customer would have to do that, mail it in?
Can you repeat that question one more time? I want to make sure I understand it.
Okay, so like all the different states, like in South Carolina, they have to pay a property tax ahead.
Mhm.
So with the company like we use now, they take care of that for the customer. Is
So
that-
going off what I know, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not an expert. Most of these times is where I would actually refer you guys to our help desk once we, you decide, hey, it's something that's going to fit our business. My knowledge is that we do not. But I do want to state, of course, I'm not an expert, and our help desk is actually going to have a whole lot more information than I do about that specific, down to, what state specific, and of course, what's needed to move the deal forward. But just to be very transparent, that's not something that I have a direct answer on, but I'm going to say I believe not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
there's-
then I just realized you were doing Texas.
Yes, that's where that previous deal number was from. So that's why I clicked on New York, but it loaded
Oh,
it for Texas.
Sorry, guys. We meant to show New
Florida.
York. Yeah, apparently there's a reciprocity tax between Texas and Florida. I didn't know that
Yeah.
Texas had any reciprocity tax. But I hope that answered your question. Did you have any follow-up after that?
Well, so if you didn't do that, where your system will tell you what is needed for the registration. So
Mhm.
if we would have to get the customer to do that part.
So I am going to take that to my help desk and just make sure that I'm telling you the right information. As of now, we're going to go with that would be the correct process moving forward. But I'll get more specific and we'll give you an answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like I said, I don't want to tell you the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But scroll up a little bit. I want to see if it notates here. No, it doesn't have property taxes. So, yeah, I'll check into it, or I'll try to run a deal through and see if that's something that they'll add into the fees.
Okay.
If not, I'll also, reach out to our help desk and make sure that, hey, that's not something that's required, or if you do rely on the customer to take care of that instead of us.
Okay.
Right, and that was about property taxes, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Crystal, if you'll move us forward.
So then print forms. And it will print off your forms for you. Again, anything that I had filled out is going to automatically pull over. So that's why filling everything out that you can will help you in the end. And if you're integrated with your DMS, it'll pull that over as well. Here's the title checklist. And anything highlighted in red is something that they've seen not been done correctly. So they try to put everything in red just to kind of stand out. And then it's going to tell you, depending on where you pick to send it, there's 2 options. So you'll make the check payable to the title company. This was that private tag agency. And then this is the mailing instructions for that agency. And then this is where you fill in your contact name, phone number, email for the dealership. Power of attorney. This is where you can select where you have the license plate sent to, if you want it sent to the owner or to the dealership. Some more paperwork.
So which state are
and
you working on?
Texas.
This is Texas. I'm sorry. I had
Okay.
said New York at the beginning, and then when I clicked on that deal, I loaded a previous deal. I was showing Texas, so that's why it did
Okay,
Texas.
because I saw that we would send the paperwork to, I thought it said Kansas.
So that was that private tag agency that we had picked
Okay.
instead of sending it to the DMV. So they're located in Shawnee, Kansas.
So how many overnights would we be charged? Is that included in the fee?
Crystal, can you go back up to the checklist?
I was trying to find where, yep, I knew I'd
Should be
seen it.
back up. So it says prepaid return FedEx. But I can't really read that. Whenever you overnight it, you will be responsible for the overnight charge to the DMV or the PTA, whichever one you guys decide that you want to utilize. And you won't have to, outside of, I can't read whatever this red stuff says because I really need to get some new glasses. Outside of what they say there, that might be, hey, you need to attach a prepaid. That way, if we, need to send it off to the customer, we can, but I'm not sure. Can you read what it says?
It says, yep, prepaid return FedEx or UPS envelope for completed tag work. This must be addressed to the customer or the dealership only if sending directly to DMV location.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's not required if you decide to use the PTA that we selected. So you would just need to, overnight it to that PTA. Did that answer your question? I know it was a real roundabout way to get there.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Okay. And any place that's highlighted in yellow, I haven't seen one quite yet, requires a wet signature. Oh, that's the end of it. So I do know for like New York and some other ones where it would say the signature right here, it would be a yellow box. So that requires a wet signature. This is the paperwork right here. It just kind of details out all of everything that's on there. So the purchase date, the VIN, accessories, the processing fee, that type of stuff. So that would be the paperwork that you would send.
Like when there's problems, how do they get in touch with you?
What
Well,
was that?
if there's issue with any of the paperwork, say we go to the agencies would contact us. But if it goes directly to the DMVs, they would just send the work back. But the agencies do that also. Or would they contact us for the corrections?
They'll contact you. That's a lot of the reason why people decided to start using more private tag agencies. They have a lot more personalized approach and they won't send the paperwork back to you.
Yeah, because then you're costing back and forth. And
Yeah,
that
I
would
definitely
be-
understand that. It's such a headache. And I know, sometimes I've heard that, the ITS does that occasionally. And, we want to help you avoid that at all costs.
Yes.
I'm sure you guys do too.
Definitely.
Any other questions I can answer for you guys or Brittany can answer?
So there's forms the customers to sign.
So there's a subscription fee and then also the per deal fee.
Yes. So there's a $90 a month subscription fee, and then it's $90.98 per deal
Okay.
for the transactions fee.
And you probably have, but my question too, where we're already, Solera customer with some product, is there any other break in there or is that the best?
So we don't charge you for integrating with Automate. There's no setup fee. There's no recurring fee to make sure that you guys are integrated. And I mean, generally, I'll be transparent. It's kind of how it stands. It is the $90 subscription with the $90.98 per deal. And the reason why we're generally, pretty strict on that is because we do give you the ability to upcharge any of your deals. So if you don't mind me asking, I think Crystal had said you guys do about 20 to 30 out of state a month. Is that accurate for y'all?
Penny, that'd be a penny question.
Yeah.
Okay. Or, kind of like the average. I know it can vary. I do know.
Well, if the deal doesn't go through and they void it, or do we still get charged at $98?
The deal doesn't go through.
If
Do you
you don't
mean?
go all the way through, say they started doing the deal or something happens and it gets voided.
I guess that would be like the sales department maybe tries to get some sort of fee calculation and then the
Okay.
customer decided not to move forward. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay. So I do know that happens sometimes. My recommendation for you guys is to do one of two things. So what a lot of my dealers will do is tell them, hey, just make sure the customer, really does want to get an accurate, or they're committed to buying that car. Just tell them, hey, for us to pull the fees, this will be $35 or $34.99 to pull those fees for you. Or if you don't want to go that route, what you can also do is pull, from a high tax rate from California, say it's, 10%. And you're like, hey, we're going to use a tax rate off of one of the highest percentages that I know. So it's very possible that this is not what it's going to be. But until, you've committed to kind of moving forward, we are not going to get exact. And that's kind of my recommendation to dealers. Just to make sure that you guys aren't just getting charged $34.99 on a customer that's not committed to moving forward. Because Because I mean, after you calculate fees, as long as you're still in the same deal number, you're not going to get charged again. So it's just a single charge when you're working with that customer. But yeah, that's my recommendation because we will charge you whenever you do calculate in a new deal number.
Which now we pay $9.95 and then $150.
But what I was going to say, you know, you guys are seeing, say it's 20 cars a month. You know, all you have to do is raise that up to maybe $100 for the transactional fees, and then you're already covering all of your subscription cost. And then, you know, anytime that you raise it up any higher, it's just going to be straight profit for you guys.
And then we could raise it up enough to take care of the postage fee
The
as well.
postage is what we do now. Yep.
Yeah, and you can do that too.
Is there
Yeah.
any restriction? Is there any restriction statewide of passing that fee along?
None that I've heard of.
Does it tell you from state to state different things that you need?
That's what she's saying, that it does.
I was just asking on, you know, how you have we work with so many different states and there's some different requirements. So we just wanted to make sure we still get that information from state to state on what is needed to get this accomplished for the customer.
Yeah, for sure. So I know that we showed Texas here, but it is going to break everything state by state. So Texas is one of the ones that has a lot lighter of taxes, and honestly, they have easier paperwork. But if you go through and pull up a deal in New York, you know, it's going to give you a lot more taxes. It's going to give you a lot more paperwork, and it will make sure those notices are state by state.
California's a lot.
Yeah.
Texas has to do the weight slips for trucks.
Yeah, and if you guys are doing, I guess you're talking about like fleet, or is it just like pickup trucks?
Just heavy duty trucks or any of them they have to do. They have to go through and get the printout of the weight.
Okay, so our system will know that based
It will.
on the vehicle type that you put in.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
seen it change. Like, I think
Yeah.
some states you can register trailers, some states you can register trucks. I've seen taxes change per vehicle type. And then I've also seen them add a couple additional fields as needed.
Yeah.
So it really is customized exactly per state.
So can you try one for South Carolina? Just so we can see how it looks for that one.
Yeah. Do that real quick.
I'm not going to put a deal number here just so it doesn't do one that I've previously done.
Just make one up.
Okay.
What I usually do.
Oh dear. Okay, cool. VIN number. Do finance. So there's the little keynote there.
Property tax, yeah.
So
Perfect.
it says that they
Okay.
have to pay it before.
Before they can do it. And
Yeah.
then they give us the slip.
Yep.
And then we would
Well,
have
there's
to
the
come up-
answer.
Yep.
So right out the gate, I'm glad that we have that answer. It's a little less work for me to do on the end here. Create new deal, sorry.
So finance would say, okay, now you have to go pay your property tax.
Before we can
Here's
do
the
your DMV
package
work.
we need you because we have to have the original receipt, and then we would mail it all in.
Yeah, and that's something that they may know in South Carolina, especially if you know that you've got somebody coming in. Maybe just notate that ahead of time before they get to your dealership. That would only be, of course, if they tell you ahead of time that they're going to come see you guys. But it could be one way to kind of make that a little easier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll just load one real quick. Again, if it was used, it'll ask for the previous state, private, commercial. The Jeep, I'll just give it a fake title number. The NADA clean retail value, that's fine.
Yeah, so it uses that for the personal property tax bill.
For the trade.
No, for the vehicle. So it's acting like it'll.
So your system, all the states are updated. Do you work
Yes.
with all of them?
And then there was a vehicle trade. Whatever the sale price is, if you're shipping it. Again, this is like a calculator. And this is that NAP processing fee. Let's put in a flat rate. Lien holder. Any other information? Super quick. Okay. So I didn't enter any of like the personal information, so you'll have to figure out what county, if it doesn't pull off the zip. Just because when I entered Brittany, I didn't have the South Carolina address or any of that information.
Okay.
So I'm just randomly selecting here. This is the DMV contact information again. So it would say this is the primary one. There's a secondary DMV location to send to.
Yeah, so that Blythewood location is the secondary. That's where you're supposed to send everything.
And then the private tag agency, they have a couple. This one is $50. This one's $140. This one's $199.
Wow.
So we'll just select that.
Title's done right.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
It just, the primary was title's done right. The name.
So there's the tax amounts. Again, the agency fee, the processing fee, reciprocity tax, because we're in Florida for our training partition. Registration forms.
And why does it say tax in Florida?
That's for the dealerships in Florida. For the demo site.
Yeah, we wish we could change that, but that's where it's located. So this again, go ahead.
Do you have like an idea of like the average, how much time it takes to get it accomplished? Each state? I mean, is it like a 10-day or 6 weeks or 3 or 4 weeks?
For the DMV locations,
Yes.
is that
the
what you're
DMV is
asking?
Longer
Yeah.
than the agencies.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't know as far as the DMV goes, how long they're taking.
Okay.
It's
The
just state.
other ones, they will have an estimate on each state. How long
Yeah,
it-
I know ITS has an estimate on each one. So, I mean, at the end of the day, of course, it's going to be whatever one's going to be more beneficial for you guys. That's also why we recommend doing the private tag agency, just because you'll know specifically how long it's going to take. But outside of that, I mean, I know you guys probably have a pretty good grasp on how long it takes for paperwork to get processed. So it does stay pretty consistent with the DMV, where it's usually about that 3 to probably 6 weeks that it takes. And that's pretty consistent across all of them at this point.
Yeah, so here's just the paperwork. the mailing instructions,
So pay property taxes first.
Mhm.
where you want everything to be sent.
Nice.
Just a little more forms. Here's that yellow box I was talking about earlier that requires a wet signature.
Okay.
So it showed up highlighted in yellow.
So that's the owner. So we'd have to sign a POA
No, this is part of the paperwork, original paperwork.
original
Mhm.
The customer was signed there.
or
Yeah.
customer sign.
Yep.
Mhm.
And there you go. That would be the paperwork.
Nice. It says all the mailing back and forth time.
Yeah.
And
Because right
then
now, if we have an issue, we have to mail.
wait for them, like where I get right on it and get it out. Like,
But you have to wait because we send it to DMV
Them.
Nationwide or ITS,
And then it
and
has
they
to be-
mail it to DMV. So this cuts out.
This, yeah, this would be a little faster.
Yeah. So any other questions you guys have that I haven't answered?
right. Yeah.
Or anything else you guys were kind of hoping to see?
I'm good.
You're good.
You good?
If we decided to go with your company, how long does it take to get set up and everything?
So usually that setup process, we say it takes about 5 business days. I've seen it accomplished way faster than that. But just with implementation, sometimes it takes a little bit longer when we're doing integration. So I would prepare for it to be about 5 business days.
Anything else you got?
Just the F&I needs to be trained.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it pulls their.
Integrates
all
it
their
over.
information.
So they just gotta do like I do.
Do y'all do any training with the F&I people?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, we do training with everybody involved.
Because
Yeah.
that's usually where it starts out at.
So generally what'll happen is once you guys are signed up, they'll schedule a training time for you. And then of course y'all will all get together, everyone who needs to be involved in it. And you guys do get unlimited logins. So whoever you guys need to have access, it can be F&I, it can be admin, or it can be title work or title clerk access. And then you'll each have your own individual logins from there. But we'll gather everyone together, make sure that we find a good time for your whole team, and then make sure you guys are trained up.
Perfect. I got a question.
Yes.
So is there tracking on each deal on the different process? for
So
it to be-
unfortunately not. And that's one of the things I really hope that we're in development for. Because I have seen the tracking for ITS and I think it's really awesome. But I do know that whenever you select specific PTAs, they will do that tracking for you. Specifically our big partner of DMV Nationwide, they actually provide you with a really awesome tracking dashboard that'll show you where
Mhm.
everything is at.
Mhm.
But I'm hoping that we are going to get something like that. But I think for right now, it's because we don't have that middleman where we can't track exactly where that paperwork's at since it goes straight to the DMV.
Or to the agencies. Okay. And then we would
what
just
they
deal
package
with
it
them
off.
directly, the agencies. Okay.
Yeah, that way we cut out that. I think it's probably like usually about 4 to 7 business days that you guys wait for ATC to send everything off.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just depending on the deal and if there's any, back and forth for y'all.
Yeah.
You'll just have to keep up with that and packages getting lost and stuff like that.
Mhm. And if
Yeah.
but if we had it like sent directly to the customer,
So we won't even have to wait for the package to come back with the tag can be shipped straight to the
right
customer
to them,
instead of coming back to us and then us sending it to them.
but
Unless
where do we go about letting the customer know that part or contacting us if they
And
didn't
what
get
happens
it?
when packages get
Well, I
lost?
guess we would have the tracking because we provide the overnight.
Yeah, and if you guys do decide, hey, I actually like getting all the, the title work and the plate back to my dealership, That'll provide a little bit more comfort for you guys because you can select, hey, do I want it to go to the dealership or do I want it to come back to me?
I think right now we have everything come to us, right?
Everything
We
goes back to us
do.
because we have to
That's a
send
double
refund checks
overnight.
and
Yeah.
also
Yeah,
spare
so-
pieces.
Yeah.
You know, if you decide, hey, we don't want to be overnighting as much paperwork, then, you know, you can always just send it directly to the owner.
Mhm.
But that is completely up to your dealership. I know most of my guys will send it directly to the owner and they don't have any problems. But that's also why we recommend having someone, you know, on the phone with you guys or walking you through it for probably your first couple deals. That way, when you run into questions that you may not have now,
Right.
you know, it's just a little bit of an easier transition for y'all.
We just get packages lost and, you know, that
Oh.
everything's in there. And so that,
Yeah.
I would think most likely everything should be coming back to the dealership and us, that incurs cost, but we can kind of control until we get,
Knowing if it's done.
yeah.
Yeah, and every once in a while, you know, you can send it to the owner, see how that goes, and if it's going to be a better process for y'all.
And it might be like we know it doesn't have a spare key or anything.
Mhm.
We can shoot it straight
Let
back to
it
the
just
customer if it
go.
has a spare, then
Put
bring it
them
back to us.
together.
Okay. Well, we
Yeah,
really
so-
appreciate
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And we loved getting to meet with you guys today.
Thank you.
So, you know, I guess kind of next steps for us, it sounds like you guys do have a little bit of talking to do. If you guys are sold, you're like, hey, I want to move forward. All we need is a dealer license to get you guys going. We can start that setup process. But of course, you know, if you need to get it off to the powers that be and say, hey, you know, does this make sense? This is something that we want to move forward with. We're also going to send you out a recap email that will break down, you know, kind of the things that we discussed. And we'll include this recorded demo. That way you guys can get it off to anybody additional that needs to see it.
Perfect.